What's going on, guys? If you haven't heard, Pierre-Luc Dubois asked for a trade out of Columbus. Solid player who actually just signed a new contract with them. Personally, I'd say he's like a low-end first-line center, high-end second-line center. And again, you guys can see here, he's 22 years old, so still quite young. 86 overall there. They have him as a second liner. Medium league potential, though. Drafted 3rd overall back in 2016 behind Matthews and Laine. So, pretty good company there in the top 3. And like I said, he just signed a new contract. And actually pretty fair contract as well. $5 million bridge deal there for the next 2 years. I think, honestly, he probably signed this contract to make it, a nice deal that a team would want to trade for. As if he signs something too expensive, obviously, less likely he's traded. So, why he asked for this trade, I'm not too sure. Some people are saying it's Tortorella. I don't think so. I actually met Dubois once and I asked him if he liked Torts. He said he did like Torts. He was a good guy as well, so I hope, the best for him wherever he lands. But I think it probably has to do with Kekalainen not getting a contract done. Like, it took forever. He ends up getting paid less than Bjorkstrand. I think maybe he feels like Columbus isn't valuing him enough, or maybe with everything going on right now, he wants to be closer to home. I know he wants to go to Montreal. I feel like there's multiple factors at play here, and I doubt it's just one thing. But as you guys can see, his trade value is quite high. It's almost at the max. I'd say it's like, 85, 90% there of the bar. Now, in terms of what Columbus wants back, without Dubois, they would probably still need a center. As Max Domi is currently their second-line center, which isn't too bad. He could play first-line center if you really needed him to. They'd probably prefer somebody else. Defensively, they have Werenski, they have Jones to obviously lead that top pair for the next 10+ years, unless one of them asks for a trade. So, defensively, they're pretty good too. Goaltending between Korpisalo and Merzlikhin, I feel like they're really not looking for a goalie. They already have 2 good, I think, starting caliber goalies. So, definitely, I think they're just trying to get the best possible trade, whether that be a new potential 1C, a younger guy, some good young forwards, mixed with some good young defensemen. I feel like really we can kind of offer anything for them in terms of realism, as long as it's not reliant on a goalie. So, for instance, Anaheim here, I'm not going to structure a trade around John Gibson, so I feel like Columbus just wouldn't be interested in that. Also, too, for Anaheim, I feel like they're not going to be giving up Trevor Zegras. You guys can see I've actually boosted him a bit. He's now a 75 overall medium elite. I think before the World Juniors had him like a 74 high top 6. Drysdale, they probably don't give up either. Raquel, I think they definitely give up. Columbus is interested in 2, as he could play center or just be like a first-line winner for them. He's also relatively young there, 27. It says Columbus is interested in Lundstrom, 20 years old, 78 overall. He's a center. I think he's got top 6 potential. And then we'll add on, like, I don't know, 2 second-round picks here. So, Raquel, Lundstrom, 2 seconds. The difficulty, by the way, is on medium, so he's not on the block. We're going to have to overpay every time to get him. We'll see what Columbus says here. Trades rejected. Now, its other offer was quite close to trade value, so I think we'll add Axel Anderson here. He's actually a former second-round pick by the Bruins. Anaheim got him, I believe, in the Kasha trade, so just another young player there. They get Raquel for now, Lundstrom, Anderson for the future. A couple seconds. See what Columbus says. And there we go, trades accepted. So, this is definitely more of a quantity over quality trade, but I think overall not a terrible package for the Blue Jackets. Next year, guys, I think we have a really good offer from the Bruins. Dubois, Carlo, and a first-round pick for Dubois. Real life, I feel like Columbus definitely, considers this, probably says yes. In-game, though, looking at it, they might say no to this, even on medium. We'll see what happens here. Trades rejected. I mean, DeBrusk, I would say, definitely isn't as good as Dubois, plus he's a winger, but still he's a good young forward, top 6 caliber. Carlo, good, solid, top 4 defenseman. You get a first-rounder. After that, there's really not a lot to add. I mean, Zaboral, he was a first-round pick. Maybe change of scenery does good for him. Is he enough to make them say yes? Not quite. They actually said we were still far off in value. So, like I said, I don't want to give up, the top line or McAvoy. At this point, we're definitely paying too much, but just trying to see if this goes through. 2 firsts to Brusque and Carlo for Dubois. And they do say yes. Okay, so quite a lot to give up there. Look at the Buffalo Sabres now, guys. They're trading Casey Middlestad, who I think definitely could use a change of scenery. He won MVP for the World Juniors he last played in, but hasn't really done anything in the NHL. 21 years old, 79 overall, low elite. I think he's still medium elite if you go by EA's rosters, but low elite's actually a lot more accurate. Ristolainen there is probably a little overrated in game as well, but he's still like a solid offensive top 4 defenseman, I think. After losing Murray and Nivera, I think Columbus could definitely, use some help behind Werenski and Jones. A couple second-round picks there, because I think Buffalo probably doesn't trade a first-rounder, knowing it could definitely be a lottery pick. We'll see what they say. I think this has a good chance to go through. Trades rejected. Interesting. Not really interested in what you're sending us. I'm going to try Reinhardt with 1.2 retained, only 1 year left, and Ristolainen for Dubois. So, Buffalo, for the reason, gives up on Reinhardt. Ristolainen, they've been trying to trade. They want, Dubois. I mean, him and Eichel as your 1-2 down the middle is actually super impressive. I think it's actually nasty. Plus, Dubois is playing slightly closer to home, being in Buffalo opposed to Columbus, but still not that close. Out of Montreal. We'll see what they say here. And trades rejected. value just isn't there whatsoever. Like I was saying, I think Dubois is a low-end 1C, high-end 2C. In-game, they definitely consider him to be a 1C. We'll see if 2 second-rounders with Reinhart and Ristolainen gets it done. That's a lot to give up, though. I definitely don't like this trade for Buffalo. Now, this next trade here, guys, is an interesting one. Calgary Flames offering Columbus Johnny Gaudreau and Valimaki for Dubois. There's been a lot of trade rumors with Gaudreau, so I think, you know, him being part of this trade makes a lot of sense. Now, Columbus doesn't get a center, but they do get a really good winger in Gaudreau. I would say Gaudreau's a better player, 1-for-1 than Dubois, but he's older, plus I think center is a more important position, and Gaudreau definitely isn't a center. And then you also had Valimaki, who I think is a solid young defenseman. Pretty good return here, I think, if you're Columbus. We'll see what they say to this one. And they reject it. I thought for sure they were going to say yes to that one. Really, I think like the value's got to be close. We'll just add a second rounder there to try and push it over the edge. Wow. Not really interested in what you're sending us. They like Pelche, Zeri, both those guys on the World Junior team. Rizika, I think he's like a Czech dude. Probably more willing to trade him. So let's do that. With the second, still Gaudreau and Valimaki as the base. And now the trade goes through. Now guys, trying to make a trade as the Carolina Hurricanes, offering up Martin Necas, also young center, not as good as Dubois though. You can see he's 21 years old, 83 overall. Dubois is 22 years old, 86 overall. I think Necas had like 30 points last year. Probably a little overrated right now in game. Dzingel's a decent, you know, middle six winger. Basically just there though for the salary reason. I think it's a decent trade. We'll see what the Columbus Blue Jackets say. Definitely like this trade a lot more for Carolina than Columbus. Trades rejected. Okay, so maybe we'll add something small here. I did see that Columbus liked Jake Bean. Honestly, in real life, Carolina has a surplus defense. I think, you know, if Jake Bean gets this to go through, they're probably happy, as that gives them a really nice 1-2 Aho Dubois. And wow, trade still rejected. And it said quite far off, I think, which is a bit ridiculous to me. The second round pick cover quite far off. It does. Next year, guys, trying to get traded to Chicago, offering up Dylan Strome and Nicholas Beaudouin. I feel like Dubois is definitely the better player than Strome right now. Strome, you can see, he's 23-84. So yeah, he's 2 overall lower, 1 year older. Beaudouin, pretty solid young defenseman. Could turn into a top 4 guy. So I think adding him to the trade helps even it out a bit. Columbus wants him. We'll see what they say to this one. Trades rejected. So we'll try a second round pick here, guys. So there's a good chance Chicago gets last this year. I think I was saying for me it's either them or the Devils. So that could be a very, very early second rounder. See what Columbus says now. Wow, that's kind of nuts, honestly. Like, they don't really want that much. I mean, Kurashev's not that great, but maybe, you know, he just pushes this through. There you go. Now, guys, we have the Colorado Avalanche going all in on this year. I'm pretty sure they're the Cup favorites in terms of the Vegas odds, as they're pretty stacked. Adding Dubois just make them even better. So we have Eric Johnson there, basically just for the cap. I feel like they have enough defensive depth they can afford to move him, especially when they're getting a good player like Dubois. Alex Newhook, I do think is a very good prospect. We saw that at the World Juniors. Him playing for Canada. If you guys don't know, this is a custom player I made. So 73 overall, high top 6, 19 years old. You can see, look at his stats there. Now, I'm sure there's going to be people in the comments section, especially Avalanche fans, saying, you know, Newhook could end up being better than Dubois. We're never going to trade him, this and that. Colorado has the best odds to win the Stanley Cup. Why not, you know, give yourself even better chance here? Add Dubois. In this scenario, you're going all in. Personally, I think real life, Newhook and Johnson could maybe make it happen, but in game, I think they actually have to add the first rounder. Now, real life, it's probably 31, especially if you win the Cup. And if it is 31, obviously you're happy because you won the Cup. If you make a trade, win the Cup, you're not going to be too upset. We'll see what Columbus says on this one. Trades rejected. Wow. Like I was saying, I think real life, you wouldn't even have to actually add the first rounder. So again, scenario, Colorado's going all in. We're still not giving up Byram, though. I think that'd be a bit too much. Foodie there, I like him. He's a Spitfire. But he definitely doesn't have that much value. Cott was their first rounder last year. They just got Barron, I think, early second or late first of this year. Why am I not forgetting? Yeah, late first. Maybe Shane Bowers. They got back in that Ottawa trade. Add him as a nice little piece on top. And there you go. The trade goes through. So again, big package there for Colorado. But I feel like after that trade, pretty much, you know, guaranteed should be the team coming out of the West. Alright, guys. Next year we have a blockbuster with the Dallas Stars. They decided they want to have a bit of a shake-up. Seguin had 50 points last year, which isn't bad. But you do expect a bit better from him. Making almost $10 million. So they offer this to Columbus. Seguin, Dubois 1-for-1. They save $5 million. Seguin is the better player, obviously, but he's a bit older, making literally basically double the salary. Now, I actually have to retain $500K there on Seguin. Real life, I think they can make a way to not have to retain, but whatever. It only affects our side, not theirs. We'll see what they say. Real life, I think you'd have to say yes to this, but who knows in this game. The trade does go through, okay, so that would be a blockbuster. And next, you guys get my favorite team, the Detroit Red Wings, offering up Zadina and Wallander for Dubois. I mean, one thing Detroit's really missing, honestly, is a second-line center behind Larkin. We get Dubois, we're pretty much set, I think, 1-2. Zadina is a good player, but we bring in Raymond, we have him on the wing, Mantha, Bertuzzi. I'm sure we can find someone else, you know, for that second-line left wing spot. Wallander is a pretty solid, I think, prospect defenseman, but if it gets us Dubois, I'd honestly be happy with this. We'll see what Columbus says here. Trade's accepted. Okay, I like that one. Now I guess we're going to make trade the Edmonton Oilers, offering up Nugent and Larson for Dubois. Personally, I feel like Nugent and Dubois are pretty similar. In game, they're both 86, but Nugent has top 6, where Dubois got that medium elite still. So he can still grow. Also, he's 22, where Nugent now is 27, which is actually kind of crazy to think about. It makes me feel old. Also, both of them 1 year left, so Columbus could potentially trade for them and not get anything. Looking at it, the fact that the value's equal, I think alright, this isn't going to go through. So let's try adding a second round pick here to start. They don't have one in 2021. We'll add 2022. I think Detroit actually might have their second rounder. Rejected. The fact that they get Dubois, cost controlled, McDavid, Draisaitl. Would they throw in a first? Screw it. Let's just say they do a first here with Nugent Larson for Dubois. Wow. Trade still rejected. Try adding Raphael Lavoie here. They drafted him second round back in 2019. Decent prospect, played for the Moosehead. And they now do the trade, but definitely a lot to give up there for the Oilers. And next year, guys, make a trade to the Panthers, trading Anton Lundell, who they just drafted last year, 12th overall in the 2020 draft. He's Finnish. I feel like Kekalainen would have loved him. Now, Dubois got a bit more value, so also adding Saron Noel there. Could turn into like a decent, I think, a middle 6 winger. He's 6'6", so he's definitely like a power forward. Real life, does Lundell end up being better than Dubois? Maybe. I would say, you know, it's tough to tell, right? Like, he literally just got drafted, so he's more of a risk, while Dubois is more of like a known commodity. So I'll see what Columbus says to this one, and they reject it. They like Anton Lundell. I mean, Noel's also on their block, so I don't know why they wouldn't like him. We'll see if we can just add like a second rounder. I think real life, they would definitely have to, you know, consider this very, very hard. And there we go, second rounder gets to go through. This next trade is another blockbuster. LA offering Kopitar 1-for-1 for Dubois. They're actually retaining $650K. Right now, I'd say Kopitar is the better player, but he's definitely on the decline, whereas Dubois, I think, is getting better. You can see in-game there, he's 90 overall, but 33 years old, so literally 11 years older than Dubois. That's quite a bit of career, you know, that LA is getting there from Dubois. Columbus with Kopitar as their 1C would be competitive. If I'm Columbus, I say no to this. If I'm LA, I probably do this. It feels bad for the fans, for Kopitar, but I think, you know, just in terms of the business move, it makes sense. We'll see what happens with this trade. Trade's rejected. Okay, so yeah, like I said, I think Columbus, you know, you're just getting a much too older player there, even if he is better. Now, if they added a solid young prospect, which they had a ton of, Battlefield and Turcotte, I think, are untouchables. Who could they add to this? Anderson they just got for a second rounder. Maybe they throw in like Anderson Dolan, somebody, you know, who could help out the team. Trade still rejected. Okay. And then we'll add on their second rounder, which is like, you know, again, a really good pick to kind of help make up for how much older of a player they're getting there in Kopitar. Columbus now says yes. That's an interesting one because, like I said, Columbus gets better now. They get a nice pick there. They get Anderson Dolan. LA, though, looks really, really good for the future. There are 3 centers, Dubois, Byfield, and Turcotte. That's nasty. And next year, guys, the Minnesota Wild trying to make a trade for Dubois. Honestly, in real life, I feel like they're a team that should be very active, as Dubois is still a very young player. I don't think a lot of people are like kind of considering that with a lot of the trade proposals I'm seeing online. They're acting like he's a 27, 28-year-old center. That's not the case at all. Like, the dude's 22 years old. One kind of funny thing, like, I'm offering up Dumba, Eriksson Ek in a second here. Dumba, because there was some, you know, trade speculation around him. I feel like him and Dubois is pretty solid, like, core for the trade. Eriksson Ek there I'm adding on. I'm sure someone's going to say something like, you know, Eriksson Ek could end up being as good as Dubois or something. And it's like, Eriksson Ek's actually already older than Dubois and a worse player. So, like, I don't know. Just some of the things I saw online, it didn't really hold weight for me. So, I don't know. Dumba, Eriksson Ek a second. Wild really need a center. I saw online, I think, Bukestad was their 1C, which is kind of rough. The value is on the Wild side, so we'll see what Columbus says here. Trades rejected. So I saw that they have the Penguins first round pick. Definitely a little overvalued. I think the Penguins should make the playoffs, and if they don't, like, they should just miss, in which case a very low you know, percentage there to get a lottery pick. So Penguins first rounder, which essentially, so that's Zucker now, Dumba, Eriksson Ek. Quite a bit to give up, but they get their young 1C, which is something they very desperately need. So maybe they're a bit more desperate here in this trade. See what you know what? Let's try without Eriksson Ek, first and Dumba. See what they say. Okay, so maybe they actually do need Eriksson Ek a part of that trade, which, again, real life, I don't think it's that terrible for the Wild. And it goes through. So, like I said, you get the 1C, you could have Fiala, Dubois, and Kaprizov as your first line. It's pretty solid. Now, the one everyone's waiting for, the Montreal Canadiens. Reason being, Montreal is Dubois' hometown team. I think he's actually from a town like an hour outside Montreal. What's actually kind of cool, too, is when I met him, I asked him, you know, which arena was his favorite to play at, and he said the Bell Center. And ever since then, I kind of just, like, paid attention to when he played Montreal, and almost every single time he had, like, a multi-point game, whether it was 2 goals, goal, and assist. Like, the dude just shows up to play in Montreal, so... they got an even better Dubois. I think, you know, Montreal fans would be quite pleased. Now, I've seen a bunch of people saying, no way, no how should we trade Suzuki or Romanov for Dubois. Those two should be untouchable. Romanov, I don't really know enough about to comment on, but Suzuki I find really interesting because he has looked promising. Like last year was his first full year in the NHL, and I think he had like 41 points there in 71 games. So like a pretty good rookie season, but Suzuki's only a year younger than Dubois. You can see he's 21 there. Was a 13th overall pick in 2017. Dubois was 22. Was the 3rd overall pick in 2016. Right now, I'd say Dubois is definitely the better player. Could Suzuki end up being the better player? Maybe, but I just found it strange. Like Montreal fans not even going to consider Suzuki for Dubois. Like I think 1-for-1, that's not that bad of a trade. But they're acting like it's so far off. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but I just felt like that was a weird one. I think a bit of like a fan homer bias there. Yet I've seen a lot of them saying they would trade Kotkaniemi, which is interesting to me. They kind of gave up on him already. Obviously, it was the 3rd overall pick back in 2018. He's finished as well, so maybe Kekalainen, kind of knows a lot about him, can hopefully get his career turned around. Now, honestly, him alone's about equal to Dubois in game, but Montreal would have to send them back something else in terms of the salary. So what that would be, I don't know. It wouldn't be somebody too crazy. Toffoli they just signed. Deneau's probably too good. Armia could actually work. It's like a good middle six winger. I think he's finished as well, so, send over both Finns. Salary-wise, they're saying it wouldn't work. Alright, guys, so I added Shulak here just for added salary. Looking at this trade, I feel like, real life, I wouldn't say yes to this if I'm Columbus, but in-game, it might go through. Wow, trade accepted. So, yeah, Kotkaniemi, Armia, Shulak for Dubois, I think is a steal for Montreal. In real life, I think, honestly, it'd probably cost them Kotkaniemi and Cole Caulfield. I'm sure the Montreal fans aren't happy in regards to what I said about Suzuki, but you gotta be happy with that trade I just made. And next, you guys, we have the Nashville Predators and the Columbus Blue Jackets making another blockbuster defenseman for center trade. Columbus, again, giving up the center in Dubois. Nashville giving up the defenseman in Dante Fabro. He's actually the exact same age, 22 years old, 82 overall there. Immediately potential. Same draft, 2016, was the 17th pick. Also throwing in Luke Kunin, who, I mean, could be a top 6 center potentially. He's 2280 overall right now. So I think Columbus might do this. Trade's rejected. The value is a little off. I think real life they would think long and hard about that one. I thought about, potentially trading Duchesne or Johansson back to Columbus, but I think Duchesne's got no trade clause. Johansson, I think, would, I don't know, he wanted out of Columbus, so it just doesn't make any sense. Let's try adding a second rounder there. And now it goes through. Now this is an interesting one, guys. Devils offering up Hischier for Dubois, 1-for-1. In game, Hischier is actually 1 overall below. Obviously, it was the 1st overall pick back in 2017. One crazy stat, he's only put up 50 points once in his career. It was actually his rookie season. He had 52. Since then, 47. Only 36 last year. I mean, I don't know. Is Dubois better than Hischier? I think they're pretty comparable. I don't think this is that crazy of a trade. Maybe I'm out to lunch here on, one side or the other, but I think this is a pretty fair offer. We'll see what Columbus says. Trade's rejected. I think the reason being is because it's fair value. I think they actually have the exact same amount of trade value, but because Dubois is not on the block and they're not interested in Hischier, basically we have to add to make them want to do this trade. So, what would we actually add here? Nolan Foote, I still can't believe they got part of that Blake Coleman deal. Do they add a defenseman, Michael McLeod? Maybe they try adding him. He's kind of, been a prospect for a while, hasn't broke through yet. They still reject. In real life, I think Hischier 1-for-1, Columbus would definitely say yes. Try adding McLeod back to this trade. And now they say yes, calling out Merkley. This is one I'm very curious to hear the feedback on. Would you rather Hischier or Dubois if you just, had to pick one? Next year, guys, we have the Islanders offering up Noah Dobson and Brock Nelson. Brock Nelson, I think, is actually one of the more underrated players in the league. In game, I think he's actually pretty fairly rated there, 85 overall, but a lot of people don't realize, last year he had 54, the year before that he had 53, and the fact he, played 14 less games there, put up 54 points. Quite impressive. So, He kind of fill in there as the 1C, maybe the 2C behind Domi for Columbus. And then they get Noah Dobson, who I think could definitely turn out to be a very solid defenseman in the NHL. Is it going to be enough to get Dubois in game? I don't think so. It looks to be pretty even. And again, yeah, if it's even and like they don't really like the stuff we have, we're going to have to add to it. Oliver Wahlstrom we could add. I think that might be a bit of an overpayment. It's weird to me, like Ryan Pollock's value should definitely be higher. Again, I'm going to have to like kind of re-edit these rosters once the new roster update comes out. Anders Lee's values, a bit of a joke. We'll try the Avs second rounder, which actually doesn't have a lot of value because, you know, Avs should be good. Trades rejected. Honestly, Wahlstrom in games overvalued. Let's try, in real life, Dobson, Nelson, Wahlstrom for Dubois. I don't know, it might be a bit too much. We'll see what they say here. Trades rejected. Wow. Now that's a package and a half, although Wahlstrom is looking like maybe it might be a bust. I'll add the second rounder back. How about now? There we go. And now guys, the New York Rangers offering up Kaapo Kakko for Pierre-Luc Dubois. You might think this is a bit of an overpayment, and I would agree, but honestly, the way they're utilizing Kakko, he's not going to develop well, and I think Dubois, like him in the middle, Zibanejad's 1C, Dubois 2C, and that's pretty deadly. So let's see what Columbus says here. Ooh, trade accepted. I didn't think that was going to go through because so far when it's been equal value, it has not, but you now have Panarin, Lafreniere. You could run them on the top line with Zibanejad. You probably, like, you know, split those two up. Then you have Hiddle as your 3C, maybe Strome. Lots of options still. I think that could be a good trade for both teams. I don't know. It's another, like, 50-50 one. And next, you guys are going to make a trade with the Senators. And honestly, Ottawa might be Dubois' second pick just because it's so close to Montreal. So offering up Colin White, who would kind of fill in for Dubois. Definitely not as good, but, like, you know, he's a younger guy. You know, could potentially turn out to be a solid top 6 center. Bernard Docker, I think, is actually a solid young defenseman. Was a first-round pick in 2018, I want to say. Played college hockey at North Dakota. Was on the Canada World Junior team. Josh Norris, another solid young player. I don't know if he's going to be in the NHL or not this year. I forget. But he played pretty good in the AHL. He played for Michigan. So they're getting back like a decent package here. It's not like... It's more quantity than quality, but like everyone there is actually like a pretty good player. I'll see what Columbus says to this one. Trades rejected. Okay, so I was thinking about offering potentially just Brandstrom 1-for-1. I feel like Kachuk, Ottawa wouldn't do. Definitely not Stützle or Sanderson. Brandstrom, like I said, I think maybe. And then Shabbat, definitely not because he's the #1 defenseman, which I don't know how Brandstrom has more value than Shabbat. So we'll try adding like one. They have so many prospects. Also offer Logan Brown, so they're definitely giving up a lot here. But something that Ottawa honestly doesn't have is a 1C, so maybe they're willing to do this for Dubois. Trade still rejected. Okay, so let's try, instead of, you know, doing that whole quantity thing, they decide they're good with Sanderson, Shabbat, Bernard Docker. They'll give up Brandstrom here to get Dubois. Brandstrom actually has less value than Dubois, so let me add some, maybe Colin White just because of the salary. And honestly, I think I saw White was playing like 3rd or 4th line for Ottawa anyways. Wow. White, Brandstrom, and Columbus says no. Playing hardball. I'll throw you, who's going to be the best? Give them their second round pick back. And there you go. Okay, so interesting trade, I think. And actually, guys, the Philadelphia Flyers making a pretty big offer. Nolan Patrick and Travis Sanheim for Dubois. Sanheim's a really good young defenseman, pretty cheap there at $3 million. We actually needed someone for the contract as Patrick's on his rookie deal. Or actually, this isn't his rookie deal, but he did sign there for pretty cheap, $875K. They take a chance on him, maybe, you know, turns it around. Sanheim makes it, you know, so they can take the chance on Patrick. I think they might do this because the value's on Philly's side here. Trades rejected. Wow, I was going to say, if this trade does go through, obviously defense takes a bit of a hit, but offensively, like, they are already stacked. They just, they get really, really good, like, top 9 forwards. So, honestly, real life, they probably add, like, Ghost of Spare. I'm not really sure what his value would be, though. Like, in this game, it's way, way too much. So, I'll just try the normal. A lot of second round pick doesn't have too much value there. And wow. Okay, let's add Ghost of Spare because he's a scratch anyway. So, or you know what? Instead of Ghost of Spare, Cam York, another Michigan defenseman, go along with Rowensky. I feel like they have to say yes now. Quite close to fair value with Cam York. Let's try just signing a 4th there with York. And trade's going through. Okay, so pretty big package for Philly. A couple good young defensemen. I probably don't do this if I'm them, to be honest, but the only other trade I could think of was like something around Giroux or Konechny, so I don't know. Alright guys, next trade's another blockbuster. Pittsburgh decides they want to start getting younger. Malkin for Dubois. Malkin's definitely the better player, but Dubois 22. Malkin's what, 32 at this point? 34, he's 12 years older. I mean, Malkin though, on Columbus, the 1C, I mean, that makes them a very, very good team. Pittsburgh, I think, still competitive. Now you can kind of build around Dubois and Gensel up front. I don't know. I think it's an interesting trade. We'll see what Columbus says here. Trade's accepted. Okay, so like I said, Columbus gets a lot better right now. Pittsburgh gets worse, but like their future looks a lot brighter there. Once Crosby retires, they have Dubois. Right now, they don't really have much. Defensively, after Letang, I guess you got Marino. Hopefully, he turns into a really good player for you. Jerry's pretty young. I think they're gonna have to start rebuilding at some point. So this would be a pretty crazy trade if it happened. Next year, guys, trying to trade the Sharks, offering up Ryan Merkley and Kevin LeBanc for Dubois. So Sharks would definitely, I think, improve in the now. In the future, maybe not. Depends how good Merkley turns out. Value's pretty equal. We'll see. Trade rejected, but it's not too far off. Okay. Originally, I was going to do a trade on Hurdle, but even though Hurdle's like, I think 1 overall lower 85, because he's got medium top 6, he's got like less than half the value of Dubois, maybe half, so it just didn't make a lot of sense to me. It said we were pretty close. I'll try a third here since we don't have a second. Okay, yeah, so we needed a second. I'm sure a bunch of people are going to say, oh, you're adding seconds, you didn't need to. I figured out kind of when I need to add a second, trust me. So this should go through. And yeah, there you go. Alright guys, for St. Louis, we have another blockbuster trade. I know like a year or two ago, there was some trade rumors around Tarasenko. Him just recently not getting the C. I've seen a few more trade rumors spark up. He's currently injured. Last time a Russian, superstar winger was in Columbus. Worked out pretty good. They made the playoffs both times. They had Panarin. He played pretty well there. So, Tarasenko for Dubois. St. Louis gets younger. O'Reilly, Dubois is the 1-2. I think it's really nice. Shen would definitely be on the wing. Probably Robert Thomas is your 3C. I don't know. We'll see what they say. I don't know. We'll see what they say. Trades rejected. I mean, in real life, I don't know if they have the balls to reject this trade, because if you know your guys on the block and they offer you someone like Tarasenko, I think you almost have to take it. Second rounders for St. Louis aren't worth a lot, but maybe this is enough to push it over the edge. No. Could try adding Kostin here as a Russian forward, so I'll do him and Tarasenko. Can kind of go together to Columbus. I want to see. His aggressiveness is fixed. Nice. It's now 85. I know I was in a franchise. It was nuked to like 47. I don't know what happened. We'll try this. Interesting. Okay. I'm going to try a different trade here. The first round pick Columbus wants. It should be a late pick. So let's go first round pick Braden Shen. First round pick Tarasenko. If they say no, I don't even know. Wow. How great. This is like probably the craziest one so far in terms of like, I can't believe they aren't saying yes to this trade. I'll add Kostin here just because I think Kyrie's probably got a bit more value in real life even though it's not showing game. There you go. Tarasenko, Kostin first. St. Louis has to go up for Dubois. I mean, the fact Tarasenko is injured right now, if you accounted for that, it's probably not the worst trade, but I don't know. Columbus made out really well there. Alright guys, now for the Tampa trade, I'm trying something interesting here. Offering up Sergachev, who I think would make Columbus D-core so nasty. Like, he's young, he's solid, you can see in game 22, 84, medium elite. Tyler Johnson, even though he's pretty good in game, 30 years old, 83 overall, he went on waivers and no one claimed him, which I honestly thought was kind of surprising. Like, if I'm Detroit, we kind of suck in terms of the second line center position. I would have taken Tyler Johnson for free, even though you are helping Tampa. In that case, I would have taken him, like, with a third round pick on top of him. Like, I think it'd have improved our team. So I was surprised when that happened. So this is kind of like Sergachev for Dubois plus Columbus, takes Johnson's salary there to kind of help Tampa Bay out. As if it wasn't for Kucherov getting injured, they would have been in tough in terms of re-signing Sergachev as well as Cirelli, Chernak. I was thinking about maybe doing a Stammer trade, but I don't know. I think this one is a bit more realistic. We'll see what Columbus says to this. Trades rejected. Interesting. I think that's a pretty good trade for Columbus. In real life, I think they would definitely, take a hard look at that. I'll try adding a second rounder here. Still rejected. Columbus likes Taylor Radish, so we're going to add him to the trade along with the second. Here we go. And trade's going through, calling up Cal Foote. This trade definitely depends how much you value Sergachev. If you think he's like the real deal, going to turn into a top-pairing defenseman, Columbus wins it. But if you think his ceiling's only top 4, then Tampa probably wins this. Trying to make a trade as Leafs now. We got Nylander and Sandin here. Honestly, this is way too much, but Nylander's value there is, you can see, so Dubois would be around Tavares. It's quite a bit below Dubois, even though I think in real life they're pretty equal. Maybe even the edge honestly goes to Nylander. So this is should be looking like a bad trade for the Leafs, but you can blame EA, not me. Nylander standing for Dubois. Trade's rejected. Vladimirov here, who's actually one of my creative players. That was the guy they just drafted first round. See what Columbus says now. Wow. It's kind of nuts. They're still saying no. Okay, we'll add a second to this, and if it's still no, I'll probably replace Amirov in the second for a first. But that goes through. Next, you guys should make trades with the Canucks. I remember last summer they were talking about Besser possibly being traded to make room for Toffoli, which obviously never happened. Toffoli just left. Besser's a year older, same rating, but he's a winger. I think Columbus would definitely like a center to kind of replace Dubois. They also get Jet Wu, though, who's a solid young defensive prospect. 69 overall, nice. I think this is a pretty decent trade. We'll see what Columbus says here. Trade's rejected. I'm honestly kind of surprised by that. I thought that was pretty fair. I'm going to try adding Virtanen here with Besser and Wu. And then second round pick on top. There we go. And now, guys, we have the Vegas Golden Knights offer. Cody Glass, I think, is a solid young center. Hasn't really gotten too much NHL time, but I think he will turn out to be a top 6 center, maybe even a first-line center. With him, you got Riley Smith. Basically, this there for the contract, actually the exact same amount of money as Dubois, and he's not that much worse in game, 84 overall, plus Golden Knights first-round pick. So, real life, I think that's probably too much to go up by Vegas. Cody Glass should have a lot more value than he does, but in game, we'll see what happens here. Trade rejected. I think every time I say how like real life is to be accepted, the game decides to reject it for me. Wow, like look at who could add. Kane Korczak, Canada World Junior Team, just throw him on top. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Are you kidding me? This is just, they're getting a haul here. Like you could literally, we'll give them our second round pick too. You can literally rebuild your whole team with this. Now they say yes. Now guys, should make a trade as Washington, offering up Backstrom for Dubois. I'm just gonna do it even though I figured it wasn't gonna go through. Backstrom had less value. Even though he's a better player, he's 88 overall, he's 32 years old, so literally a decade older. They like Alexiev. It's a pretty decent prospect defenseman. We'll add him, see if it goes through now. Wow. I mean, I know Backstrom's older and everything, but that's not a bad trade for Columbus. Again, if it's close, I like just to add the second, make it easy. Oh my gosh. I say I want to make it easy, and they say no. I mean, a first rounder with Backstrom and Alexiev. There we go. And the final trade here, guys, is with the Winnipeg Jets. Now, I actually proposed a trade on Twitter involving Winnipeg and Columbus. It is Laine for Dubois. Reason being, 2 young star players both want to trade. It's kind of funny, actually. Dubois was 3rd overall 2016. Laine was the 2nd overall. I mean, I don't know. I think Laine is the better player. He's a pure sniper. He's probably got the best chance to be the next Ovechkin. But, you know, there's questions about his motivation. Is his heart always in it? Dubois is more of that kind of power forward, grittier player. A bit more of a heart and soul player. Looks like in game their value is actually equal, which is kind of surprising. Now, the thing is, I put that out just kind of as like a hypothetical, as I don't really think Winnipeg needs a center. Scheifele's their 1C. They get traded for Stastny, which is a great trade with Vegas, to be their 2C. Columbus, after losing Dubois, has wingers. They just really need a center to replace them. But just for fun, I wanted to kind of see what happened here. And the trade gets rejected. So Columbus says no. I think if you did it the other way, Winnipeg would also say no, which tells you, you know, it's pretty equal. Are we going to add more to Laine? I don't think so. Now the Jets are actually, I was thinking about maybe just doing Perfetti for like Dubois going all in as the Jets, but okay, I was going to say it doesn't work salary cap wise, but it actually could, as we could do Perfetti plus Brian Little. I don't even know where he is. His value must be so low. Yeah, 33 overall, but he's LTIR, so basically they're just taking him for the salary. Perfetti, could he end up being better than Dubois? Yes. Now, how long is it going to take for Perfetti to be as good as Dubois is right now? Probably at least a few years. I think Winnipeg's best chance to win is the next couple of years. So they can just, you know, have some of those defensemen grow. Their offense is already stacked. Your definitely window, I think, is while Wheeler's still a really good player. Once he starts dropping off, that's going to hurt the team. So Perfetti and Little for Dubois. Let's see what Columbus says. Trade rejected as well. I thought that was a pretty fair offer. Could add Vesalainen into this trade. Really hasn't, you know, performed well in Winnipeg. Perfetti, Little, Vesalainen for Dubois. Winnipeg's a really good team after this. Like, they're not giving up anybody that's on their current NHL roster. Columbus says no. We're going to add a second rounder because, again, I'm going to do a hypothetical here where, you know, Winnipeg, they want to try and win it right now while they're in the North Division. Columbus says yes to that. So Winnipeg's offense is absolutely stacked. The defense still needs some work for sure, but, I mean, their top 5 forwards, you're looking at Scheifele, Wheeler, Laine, Connor, Dubois, Ehlers, Stastny there to round up the top 6. Or sorry, that's the top 7. That's nasty. And that's me, guys, for this video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Comment section, let me know. Did you think your favorite team's trade made sense? Would you do it or would you not for Pierre-Luc Dubois? If you guys did enjoy this one, please leave that thumbs up. These types of videos take a while to record. I'm already like over 3 hours in. Also, if you're watching this and you haven't subbed yet, make sure you hit that sub button. And as always, guys, thank you so much for watching. Have a nice day. Goodbye.